It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222, your emails at randywangradio@gmail.com, and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. It has been a tough year for the Los Angeles Fire Department. The Palisades fire was just a year ago. We discovered through lots and lots of investigation that it was a holdover fire from the Lockman fire that was started on January 1st. And there are a lot of questions being asked of the LAFD as to who in management said, don't mop that thing up completely, or why wasn't there something pre-deployed there? There's a lot of questions being asked of the fire department right now. And the fire department is facing a lot of challenges. We found out through a report from CBS Los Angeles that there are fewer working fire engines today than there were a year ago. We have a shortage of mechanics. Apparently, we've authorized positions to hire them, but it's so impossible to do hiring in the city that very few of those positions have been filled. We're seeing attrition constantly in not just fire, but also police. And if you look at our population compared to other major cities, LAFD has probably half the amount of stations and personnel that it needs. But this is a big city with a big budget. The city of Los Angeles has a budget of $15 billion a year. Where most of that money goes, nobody knows. But obviously not nearly enough of it is going towards the fire department. The fire department is stretched very thin, and that is why members of the union that represents the fire department held a press conference this morning, along with, I think, Tracy Park was there of the LA City Council. They have come to you, the citizens of LA, hat in hand, and they say, well, since the city of Los Angeles will not properly fund this department, maybe we go directly to the residents. It's almost like a GoFundMe, except what they're asking for is an increase in the sales tax. That's right. There is going to be a campaign starting today to collect signatures to get on the November ballot a half-cent sales tax increase, which, would put us, if we're at 9.25% to 9.75%. If we're at 9.5%, it'll put us to 10%. Regardless, it would increase your sales tax on everything that you buy by a half cent. But this would be money specifically for the fire department so they could hire more, so they could build more stations, so they could keep more equipment and maintain more equipment. But is that something that the locals here in Los Angeles are willing to fund? Because there is a legitimate question of, let's say we vote yes and we decide to tax ourselves more. And now there's a specific bucket of money that the city can't touch that is only for the fire department. That's great. But what's to stop the city then from taking the money they were spending on the fire department and moving it elsewhere? Because now there's dedicated funding towards it. Let's find out what the ask is, and then we'll be asking you how you feel about this. I'm sure you all have a lot of feelings about the fire department right now, and this is your place to express them. Would you be willing to tax yourselves more to fund the LAFD? Because that question may be on the November ballot. 800-222-5222, 1-800-222-5222. For more, let's go to NBC4.
Hours from now, LA firefighters are launching a campaign to get a measure on the November ballot to fund a fire department they say is half the size it should be. Tonight, union leaders spoke exclusively with our Robert Kovacic. He's live for us, and Pico Robertson with details of this proposed measure. Robert.
Carolyn, if voters are willing, we are talking about hundreds of millions of dollars each year put into a special fund to supplement money the city of LA already has dedicated to the LAFD in their budget. Starting tomorrow, from January 15th to May 15th, the push to collect 200,000 signatures to get this on the November ballot. But tonight, it was union leaders speaking to us with urgency about how much they need this money. And to illustrate their point, they asked us to meet them right here.
They're at a fire station, in case you couldn't see, because this is radio. By the way, according to the controller, Kenneth Mejia, who has a website that you can see how the budget is broken down, you go to budget.lacontroller.app. If you can't spell controller, you're probably not even going to try. The fire department is about 10% of the budget. And you would probably think to yourself, isn't that like, the most important things that government funds? Shouldn't that be police? Shouldn't that be fire? And shouldn't that be sanitation? Police is about 23% of the budget. Fire is about 10% of the budget. And sanitation is about 8% of the budget. Where's the rest of it? Well, 17% is in what's called other special purpose funds. That sounds like homeless money. 6% goes to capital and tech improvement. Okay, that sounds misleading. A wastewater special purpose fund is 3% of the budget. Parks gets 3%. Street services only gets 3%. Transportation and street services are two different departments. The library gets 2%. A Prop A local transit assistance fund, which is different than the transportation and the street services fund. Are you already getting confused? Housing is 2%. The city attorney's office has 2%. Building and safety has 1.7%. Engineering has 1.4%. Other agencies, 12%. I feel like we're missing something here. But yes, of all these departments, of all these budgets, of the $14 billion budget in fiscal year 2026, the fire department is getting $1.3 billion of it, which is 10%. And apparently it's not nearly enough.
Tonight, we witnessed an empty fire station in the city of Los Angeles.
Your safety is at risk right now.
Firefighters at 58 returned only to rush out again. That means when there is no one there, a 911 call from their coverage area, seen here in pink, would have to be handed off to another station.
So if there's two fires in the same zone where a fire station operates, there's only one crew. That's reassuring, especially when you know, according to former Chief Kristen Crowley, that the LAFD gets called on about 30 homeless fires a day.
They used to have one truck and two engines in it and a rescue. And now, right now, as of today, 15 years later, it still has one engine only, and it's missing a truck and the other engine. That's what's going around your city.
The city's population adding well over 1 million people in the last 60 years, gaining 33 firefighters and losing 6 fire stations to take care of them all. That's why
That's right. The number of fire stations has gone down. The number of fire personnel has gone down.
That's why the United Firefighters of Los Angeles now asking residents to come to their rescue. How vital is this?
This is everything. This is the most important decision that this union and LAFD needs right now. We need the support of the citizens of LA to help us out.
It's a half-cent sales tax.
By the way, if you look at the budget when it comes to these other special purpose funds that make up 17% of the budget, $1 billion of that is a fund called House LA. That sure sounds like homeless funding. Is that why we can't properly fund our fire department? Because for the past decade, going all the way back to Garcetti, we've been blowing money on the homeless?
It's a half-cent sales tax dedicated to the LAFD, the hiring of additional firefighters and civilian staff, purchasing new trucks, engines, and equipment.
And is this going to be statutory? Like, again, we all love our on-the-line fire department, but we all saw some pretty huge blunders by management at the LAFD when it came to the Palisades fire. We also saw when the after action report came out, whether it was at the request of the top brass of the LAFD or it was at the request of Karen Bass, but they edited that after action report to make sure they didn't look as bad as they should. Are these people truly the ones that should be in charge of even more money? Are they managing that money properly? I don't know. Do I think they need more funding? Yes, but it also needs to be properly funded. I mean, is this going to go towards more people, or is this going to go towards raises and more overtime?
Purchasing new trucks, engines.
Like, is that going to be in the bill that if you get this sales tax, you have to hire this many firefighters?
Purchasing new trucks.
Because I'll tell you, a lot of that budget gets eaten up by overtime. Same thing with the police budget. We're so short on police officers that we have to stretch the ones we have so thin, and you have to pay them a lot of overtime.
Purchasing new trucks, engines, and equipment, and building new stations while making repairs. The campaign to get the measure on the ballot begins just days after LA marked 1 year after the most devastating fire in the city's history.
We are no better from last year than we are today. We actually lost 42 positions after that fire till now. So
there are fewer firefighters today than before the Palisades fire. There are fewer fire trucks today than there were before the Palisades fire. And based on the way this city is run, I don't think we're any more prepared for a disaster like happened last January than we are now.
So we are no better from 1 year of the Palisades fire till today.
Sounds like you're actually worse.
We are worse today.
The union is ready.
We have every...
Now, of course, the fact that it's the firefighters union pushing this is also, little questionable, because is this about just making sure that union grows and that there are more raises, which means more union dues?
The union is ready.
We have every single member on board.
Are you?
I believe in the citizens of Los Angeles to help us firefighters protect them. I'm very confident.
By the way, let me just say, I'm very grateful and very thankful that I live in a neighborhood that is very close to a fire station. Because I'll tell you, I live in a neighborhood that has quite a few elderly people, and elderly people do need to call for service every once in a while. You get the whole truck to show up because it's right down the street.
LA Chief Moore, through his office tonight, tells us he has no comment. But Councilmember Tracy Park, who represents the Pacific Palisades, tells us through her office tonight, Carolyn, that she is all in and will be here tomorrow morning for that campaign kickoff. And if you head to...
Are we getting siren in the background? Of course we are.
If you head to social media, you will find a non-scientific poll on our NBC LA Instagram page. And right now, the results, Carolyn, 52%. They support a half-cent sales tax.
Ooh, that's tight. You definitely want a bigger margin than 52 when you're just unveiling this thing.
To fund the LAFD, 48% say no. Live in Pico Robertson, I'm Robert Kovasik. Carolyn?
All right, Robert, thank you for that.
Now, I don't know how this is going to go because, one, it is very, very, very expensive to live here. And increasing the sales tax by another 0.5 cent is only going to make it more expensive to buy everything. Those little 0.5 cents, they add up over a year. But then again, this is the same county, not the city, but the same county that recently approved Measure A doubling of the homeless sales tax that was set to expire this year. LA City voted for Measure HLA, which was a mandate to add bike lanes everywhere. LA voted for Measure ULA, which was the so-called mansion tax, which is also making it impossible for people to sell and rebuild in the Palisades. Because any property worth more than $5 million, including multifamily, which is every multifamily unit, well, they're subject to this massive tax. And by the way, isn't it funny that when a whole bunch of people lost their homes overnight, the United to House LA Fund had no money for them. But we approved that. City of LA says yes to a lot of tax hikes. So we're going to ask directly to you. as this is going to be in the signature gathering phase. They need to get 200,000 signatures the next few months. They might get it. If this is on your November ballot, would you vote to increase your taxes to help fund the fire department? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Give us a call. 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. I am torn on this because I want to support my on-the-line firefighters, but I seriously don't understand how with $14 billion, we don't have enough money in this city to properly fund one of the most important departments that we have. And my fear is that we vote for this, they get what they asked, and the city decides, well, now they have dedicated funding. We're going to take away general funding from them and put it towards more of our nonsense projects. But what say you? Give us a call right now. Would you vote to increase your sales taxes to pay for more firefighters? That's what's being asked of you. How would you vote on the firefighters sales tax? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. You live in LA, you work in LA, you drive through LA. This affects every single person, so let's get your raw thoughts on this. Would you vote to raise your taxes to properly fund the fire department? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Get on the line right now because we're going to take a whole bunch of calls next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC, and we seem to not have a call screener. So this is a terrible idea, but we're going to go for it anyway. I'm going to do the screening myself. Let's go to line one. Hey, what's your name and what do you want to say?
Yeah, Morris. First, they got to fix the fire hydrants, cut out all the parties, the celebrations they're having. This is taxpayer money. It's another ripoff, another scam, and I hope that people don't fall for it. Enough is enough. And this is going on for many years like this. I mean, this is not from now. It's unfortunate we had the fires that were ill prepared. That's not the taxpayers' fault. These people are supposed to be professionally trained and professionally managed. They're supposed to know what they're doing, and they don't know anything. So this is the end result. The answer is no more money. Enough is enough. So that's
there you go. Thanks so much for the call, Morris. Appreciate it. No more taxes for him. He thinks $14 billion is plenty. All right, let's try line 3. What's your name? What do you want to say?
Oh, Randy,
Hello.
This is Sue.
Hey, Sue.
The other thing people should be aware of is Rec and Parks is also trying to get a parcel tax on the ballot. So it isn't just the firefighters, it's going to be the parks too. So people should be aware of it. That's all.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be so many different taxes on the ballot. There's going to be a bond measure statewide for bailing out the transit agencies. It's only early in the year. San Diego County and San Diego City are going to have tax increases. It's nonstop. So far I've got no on 2 different callers. We'll check the email bag as well. If you want to join in the conversation, do it right now. I'll screen you live. 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. The LAFD is collecting signatures for a ballot measure that would increase your sales tax by a half a cent on every purchase you make so they can be properly funded. What say you? Would you vote yes on a sales tax hike for LAFD? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Maybe we'll take more calls. Next, it's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. Your emails at randywangradio@gmail.com and search for the KABC News Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. The LAFD has started collecting signatures for a ballot measure they would like you to vote on in November. It would increase sales tax in the city of Los Angeles by a half a cent, and they say this would properly fund the fire department, where they could hire more firefighters, build and get more engines, and even build more fire stations. The city of Los Angeles has a budget of $14 billion. The fire department gets about 10% of that. So I want to hear from you. Do you think, would you vote yes on this sales tax to fund the fire department? Or do you not trust anyone in charge at any level of the city of Los Angeles, even the fire department, to properly spend more of your money? 800-222-5222. Let's start with Fred in Granada Hills. Fred, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah. You know what? You want to give, we have given, but we never know whether the money is going to end up going where we're giving it to, based on the homeless, based on all the other individual items that people want money. The bottom line is we're all broke. Everything is going up, and we have to make do with what we have. Therefore, the trust is lost in the city, and they're budgetary. So, no, there is no more money, and everybody just has to take care of their budget and do the best that they can.
Yeah, wouldn't it be an interesting world if, if I wanted more money, I could literally just ask all the listeners of this show to vote on some poll, and then I would get a raise? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, it would be. The catastrophes with the homeless, and because we don't want anybody to be homeless, and we don't want the fire department not to have the equipment. I mean, these are all heartstring asks, but when you have no money left, where's the money going to come from? So my answer is no. I'm on a budget. Everybody else has to be on a budget, and people need to start taking responsibility.
There you go. Thanks so much for the call, Fred. Appreciate it. And again, my biggest concern, as much as I want to help the fire department, and I do realize that the fire department is woefully understaffed and underfunded, is that if we give them this dedicated money, what's to stop the city of Los Angeles in the next budget cycle from saying, well, now they have their dedicated money, we're going to spend more money on the homeless, or more money on nonsensical departments that don't do anything, or raises for every single department, whether they're good or not. Like when Karen Bass announced to Black Lives Matter that she was going to give a 50% raise to the community interventionists, which are the ex-gang members that intervene in gang wars. She got them a raise from $40,000 a year to $60,000 a year because she said if we only paid them $40,000 a year, they'd go back to a life of crime. That is a true story. Let's go to Stan in Orange County. Stan, hello.
Hey, Mr. Wang. First of all, I love cops. I am a retired one. I love policemen. I love firemen. I worked in a city system, not in Southern California, for 40 years, and I retired out as a metal manager. I see where the money goes and where it doesn't go. And, they try to get these half-cent taxes, and there's no accountability. It does not go to where it needs to go. And, it seems like it's going to homeless, it's going to illegal aliens, it's going to fraudulent health care, it's going to nonprofits that, in my opinion, are basically criminal enterprises. A lot of them, I was involved in a lot of financial investigations of those folks. They just keep shoveling the money. They don't put it where it needs to go. And, they call it the heartstrings. And if you don't give us that extra half a cent tax, we're going to have to cut police and fire services. And people wind up buying the line of baloney and they vote for it. And the money there's no accountability as where it ultimately goes. You can't track it. It's all commingled. So, no, I wouldn't. Well, they tried that in Orange County here a couple election cycles ago. The police chief was all over the place. Give us a half a cent tax for public safety. Well, it won because most of the time it does, because people think, it's these, they need the money. Well, they have it. They don't need the money. And if to your point of what you said just before I got on, is people don't trust the system anymore. And I saw it from the inside. I tend to agree with what you said. So anyway, it's a mess.
Well, it is definitely a mess. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. It's just this budget has grown a lot in the last 5 years. None of the services are any better, and every department claims that they're broke. And I feel for the firefighters. Believe you me, I have made sure that I helped out the firefighters. A true story. I donated a rowing machine to one of my local fire stations because they have a lot of people that have a lot of time to kill and they need to do exercise. And I was looking to get rid of a rowing machine, and instead of selling it, I donated it to the LAFD Foundation. I love my firefighters, but I don't love the management at LAFD, and I certainly don't love the city council and the mayor who are prioritizing nonsense over one of the most basic things, fire, in a place that's covered by the Santa Monica Mountains where there is lots of chance of fire. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Let's go to Tim in Woodland Hills. Tim, hello.
Yeah, hi, Randy. There's not there's absolutely no chance whatsoever that I would vote to add sales tax. In 1970, we had police and we had fire. I know I lived here. I saw them. The sales tax at the time was 4.75%, of which the state got 3.75 and the county got 1%. Now the state gets 7.5%, the county gets more than 2%, and they want to add to that. So it's double the amount of sales tax, which with more people, you've got a lot more taxes. When was the last time you ever heard that any of these agencies that wanted a quarter-cent or a half-cent sales tax was ever properly funded? Never. This is just one more opportunity for the taxpayers to enable the politicians not to run the business with priorities, not to run the county by identifying the priorities, and to just continue to mess things up and play with our tax monies like it's funny money. There isn't a chance that adding sales tax is going to fix the problem for the fire department or make our county any better.
You also get to a point where you increase it enough, and there's this much of a differential between LA County, Orange County, Riverside County. Big purchases like cars, big purchases like TVs, what have you. You'll go across county lines. You can't go across state lines, but you could definitely go across county lines.
When you buy a car, it's based on where you live. So I know this because
you're right. The car you can't, but everything else you could definitely, if I'm going to make some big purchase, I'll be making it at the Irvine Spectrum.
You are completely right.
Well, there you go. Thanks so much for the call, Tim. Appreciate it. Look, when the tax goes up to 10.25%, you're going to feel that. And by the way, I know I'm going to never stop talking about all the ways that Europe does things a little better than here. And I'm sure there are plenty of things that America does better than Europe. But, when you order food off of a menu, whether it was Ireland or whether it was Amsterdam or whether it was Madrid, for the most part, all the menu prices of everything that you buy, they have something called value-added tax in Europe. It's like a sales tax. It's a consumer tax, but all the prices are tax included. And part of the irritation of living in a place like LA is you don't know what the cost is of anything because now there's 10% on top of everything that you buy, and then you've got tip, and then you've got other fees, and it never ends. There's a pizza place that I really like. And they have a sign in front of their checkout window that, hey, to make sure our employees are properly paid, we're adding a 3% fee to all your checks. You know what I'd prefer? Just tell me what the price of the pizza really is and pay your people a fair wage. But I don't like the little, the smoke and mirrors game of what things really cost you find out on the tiny little print on the bottom of a receipt. Anyway, 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. Would you vote to increase your sales taxes to 10.25% to bail out the fire department? Let's go to Shelley in West Hills. Shelley, hello.
Hi, Randy. I just wanted to remind everybody that a lot of department and their work that goes to the pensions, and the pensions are out of control. And so so yes, we need to hire more fire department people, but then it increases the pension, and then we're still back at square one, and we're never going to get caught up. So until they figure out how to adjust all of this to make the budget work, and especially because it's coming from the union itself, there's no chance I would vote for this. I mean, I don't trust any of them. They're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. We're going to be back at square one. It's just that word accountable, but until we make our government accountable, it's just not going to work. So I just
that is a really good point. And
even
the LAFD union is still a public employee union. And you ask any public employee union what it costs to properly fund their department, they'll never be able to give you a real number because the number is always more.
Yep. So anyway.
Thanks so much for the call, Shelley. Appreciate it. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. I know we have a lot of people listening who support the fire department. Maybe you have friends and family that are in the fire department. But I have yet to get one call or email of somebody that would support this tax. And yes, this is a specific audience, but this is also a cross-section of Los Angeles and Southern California. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Would you vote to increase your sales tax to 10.25% so the LAFD can be properly funded? 800-222-5222. 1-800-222-5222. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Let's go to Joanne in Ventura. Joanne, hello.
Hey, Randy, this is Joanne. I would be a big fat no, because until there is a change in management, nothing's going to change. Because no matter how many firemen you had, when they got to the location, there was no water. And I don't think the firemen are the ones responsible for filling the reservoir or making sure there's water. There were also no big fire roads for the firemen to get up. Nobody had cleared the brush either. So, I mean, you could have had 10 times as many firemen. If none of them had water, it would not have made a difference. So I'm a no.
That is a really, really good point, and that's why you're a no. Joanne, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. More of your calls coming up next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're trying to find anybody out there that would vote yes on this sales tax hike for the fire department. So far, no luck. Let's start with Joe in East LA. Joe, hello.
Hey, Randy. I talked to you in a while. How you been?
Doing great.
Well, I have a solution for your problem, possibly. Look, most of the calls the fire department makes are for homeless people, taking them to the hospitals and taking all care of them all along the way. My little brother's a firefighter in Santa Barbara. Their calls are no different. The homeless budget that we have with the county and the city has been so badly mismanaged that the fire department should be able to charge them back for all those calls, get reimbursed for every ambulance ride they take a homeless guy to county general. That alone right there would solve half of your budget problem.
That is brilliant. I love that. We need you in elected office, Joe. That's the smartest idea I've heard in a long time. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. The LAFD should bill the city of Los Angeles and there's homeless funds like Karen Bass's $880 million for Inside Safe every time they got to go out to a homeless fire or a homeless OD. Let's go to George in Simi Valley. George, hello.
Hi, Randy. Hey, I'm all on board with Joe's solution there. Here's the problem with this tax. Sure. Let's say they get $200 million a year off of it or something. Well, they're just going to play the game that they'll add $100 billion to the fire department, and then they'll take $100 billion away from the existing money, and they'll give it to their cousin's nonprofit to hand out meth packs to the homeless. You know, you can't give these people more money; they'll just find more ways to waste it. So you've got to say no to the tax so that they actually prioritize the fire and get rid of some of this nonsense on the edges.
I think you make a really strong point. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. And you know what? Since the fire department is only making up about 10% of the city's budget, maybe what we need is a local ballot measure that mandates the city has to spend 15% of their budget on the fire department. So you don't increase the money that they're getting, but they're forced to put it where it's supposed to go, although I'm sure they could find a different way around that. Maybe what we need to do is have a few more Tracy Parks on the city council, vote a mayor who cares about the issues and isn't just constantly crying about the homeless. Let's go to Ward and Laverne. Ward, hello.
Hey, Randy. No more taxes. I think firemen do a wonderful job, and God bless them. But they're not getting the money anyways. They're just going to steal it some other way. I mean, just like freeways, you got semis driving in the fast lane every day. You got cars going 100 miles an hour, and the Highway Patrol is some of the best in the world. But where are they? The people aren't getting pulled over. They're not stopping commercial drivers from driving the fast lane. They're not giving the money to the firemen. They're going to squander it. They're going to take it. And we're all getting ripped off. And
I think that we have a track record to see that over and over and over again. Steve in West Covina, you got 30 seconds. Go.
The city and county of LA are the most fiscally irresponsible entities I've ever seen. I would not give them another penny if it was up to me.
Well, there you go. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Chris in Westlake Village, you got 20 seconds. Go.
Okay, the Measure E that we just paid with my property taxes is another $78 for everybody. So they should be loaded in cash right now. Where's the money? And then
Good question. Thank you all so much for all the calls. Let me just remind you that John Phillips and I are going to be live in Sherman Oaks tomorrow from noon to 3 at the Pineapple Hill Saloon, specifically to collect signatures to make sure that California can't raise any of your other taxes. So join us there. There's not going to be a live news blitz tomorrow, but you can meet me in person at the Pineapple Hill in Sherman Oaks from noon to 3 tomorrow. So we'll see you there. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KBC.